Hey guys, how's it going? Kripparrian here. The time for the Bazaar is near. Now, the Bazaar was a game that Reynad announced he would try to make many years ago. I don't even know how many it's been, and it is a game that I've played in closed family and friends in 2 rounds. They've had more than that, but that's how many I've been included and have managed to find time to play. And it has been one of the best games that I have ever played, even though it was not in a launch-ready format. They are doing closed access. You can get like a supporter pack or something, and they're launching that. It'll be the first time I'll actually be able to play the game on stream on October 30th. And I think this is going to be a really big game for me. I have played more than I can tell you about. I have well over 100 hours, even though they were pretty brief moments in the family and friends. This game has me unbelievably hooked. And today I want to give you guys a little bit of a teaser. I do plan to make videos where I introduce you guys the game, the mechanics, because at this point I am pretty much an expert on the game. I'm sure there'll be some changes that I'll still have to re-familiarize myself with when it is playable at the end of the month. But for the versions that I have played, I know a lot about the game. And it will be in a few videos, pretty close, just before the 30th, in fact. But today you get a little bit of a teaser, I did a React video, React Andy over here. As the Bazaar, they released a video going over how the game evolved to its current state, and they actually had quite a few gameplay clips, and some of them were from the last Family and Friends round. So, it is something that Reynad told me I can talk about. He said that they're not ready to show the game, but I am able to talk about it. So I figure I can talk about it considering they released that video. So that seems pretty fair. I think they actually enjoyed it very much. They have a Discord that certainly enjoyed my casting of this video very much. So hopefully you guys do as well. And yeah, I know it's a project that's been a long time coming for them. So it's been kind of out of people's radar for a while now. But you know what? At the very least, come check out the stream on the 30th. I think there'll be something there for you. Enjoy the video. Let's watch Ray Noodle here.
All right, Ben. We were making the first digital-first multiplayer deck building game. And then we got rid of the decks. So anyway, we're going to play it now, finally. It's just been an idea.
This is very Reynad.
What do you
It's
expect?
going to be broken. It is going to be dysfunctional.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some broken mechanic that makes it borderline unplayable, but who knows? Maybe it'll be fun. Let's try it out. So a couple years ago, when I decided to make a game, first thing I did was buy a bunch of these blank playing cards on stream. And together with chat, we sat down, took some Sharpies, and basically made a card set.
This is what they did with like Magic
and the
Gathering
card set
and
had a lot
stuff.
of pretty basic monsters
Some
and
people
items
still have
and
the
things you can buy.
originals.
A lot like this. This is one of the first early renders of what we thought the game board might look like. This is not alpha, this is not...
Okay, so just so we're clear, I'm like super stoked about Bazaar and stuff. Okay. Whatever this is, I hadn't played it. The first time I played Bazaar was like, I don't know, like June or something. It was 2 friends and families ago. So there was one like a week and something ago, and the one before that is the first time I ever played the game. Like, years ago, like 2018 style, I'd meet Reynad at like, events like BlizzCon, TwitchCon, that type of stuff. And he'd tell me that soon he can like show me the game, and I'd be like, that's cool. I mean, I genuinely want to see what he came up with. But that never really went through. So yeah, I got an invite to friends and family. I think it was in like June or something. So I checked out the game, and I was like totally blown away. I thought it was going to be some indie garbage, but it is, in terms of like polish, it's like above Hearthstone. Just so you know what to expect. And this is not above Hearthstone, so I don't know what this is. This is definitely pretty jank.
Not beta. The game will look nothing like this. This is just a visual representation of the mechanics that we want to show you guys. The original board we started out with, which looked more like this, and starting on turn 1,
This looks terrible.
in the original game, you would have a deck, a discard pile, 5 cards in your hand, and you would see 6 piles on the board, 2 monsters here. It was a lot of stuff right out of the gate. It turned out to not be that good of a video game. After looking at a few different black and white sketches, tweaking some sizes and things around, we ended up with a board that we were pretty happy with. And compared to the board that we started out with, this one is just so much more beautiful and simple.
Oh, whoa, what was that? I missed that. I skimmed over this video earlier. So Mac. So they have Mac, Pygmalien, Vanessa. They have the chef. She has like a name now. It's on their website. And I'm guessing engineer is Dooley. But I don't know what this is. I don't know. Werewolf.
It's very different from what we had before, but pretty cool, we think.
Bonk.
There's gonna be one sniper shot
Bonk.
that just wrecks us.
Bonk. Bonk. Bonk.
All right.
Bonk. Bonk.
Some of these early fights are kind of, I don't know, just kind of.
Nah,
funny to
this
me.
ain't it, dog. This ain't it.
I can't wait until we have the proper visual effects in here and everything.
Bonk.
Oh, it's so painful. Please get boomeranged out. No! No! 48 HP. Once we add all the bells and whistles and sound effects and all the little touches, and once all that stuff's in there, this will really feel more like an immersive world. It looks totally different now, unless it's a different mode. No, it's the same game I said it would be, 2 years ago.
This is starting to look pretty good, I would say.
Now.
It's still a little indie. Still a little indie there. Yep, he
when
knows
we
it.
launch the game,
He
that's
knows
when
it.
we'll really find out
It's gotta be
if
better.
all of these concepts actually do work.
It's time for yet another world reveal here at the OTK Games Expo, and this one I've been excited for ever since it was teased about 3 years ago. Let's get ready for the first ever look at the Bazaar.
This is their trailer. Some of it, anyway. Hold on, let me see if I got my settings. No, I don't. Let's make it look a little better. There we go.
Welcome to the Bazaar.
Bro, that looks pretty good.
Be fun.
It's pretty good. First time I saw the trailer, I was pretty blown away. Is there some of the different skins? I'm guessing. We didn't have skins in the FNF. Well, I mean, Renat said I could, talk about what I played. They're just not ready to show it yet. So, what they're showing here, they're the ones showing it. So I can tell you what's happening, right? That's fair enough, I guess. So this here, this is day 3, hour 4. All right. Top of the hour, PvP fight. Each other hour, there's a series of events. There's 3 things that are offered to you, and each day is quite different. You might have to fight some monsters. You might have to go to a vendor, or just get an item of a specific category, or sometimes one of the choices is just get a random item. But those can be pretty interesting because each class has its own set of items, and it's kind of balanced around its own set of items. A lot of the selections that are get an item, which is A, whatever, those are actual gambas, because those often include all the items. And some items from other classes are just completely unbalanced for the class at hand. So here he's playing like Pig. I could think of a few like Dooley shield items that Pig would be very happy to have with this build. So yeah, if you could get like some cross-class, like basically the mundane options, even those have some flavor to them. All right. So here he's in a shop screen. And I believe that this vendor sells large items, which are items of this size. So these are small items. These are medium. Actually, I should add that to my notes. So these items are large items, these are medium items, and these are small items. There's advantages and disadvantages to both. Generally, smaller items have way more advantages than larger items, but they are baseline far less powerful. So he has 12 gold here entering the shop. Typically, if you're going to choose the shop option, you'll need some money. And then, yeah, you're offered a few things when you enter the shop. Most vendors, you can buy the whole shop, and some very special vendors will basically peace out after you buy one item. But those are exceptions. Typically, you can buy everything. But based on his funds, he can only buy one thing, maybe two if he sells like everything he has. Double whammy. Actually, that's a pretty interesting item. We can go over this. So this is a pawn shop. Like I said, in the game, it kind of mixes flavors and win condition in a way where it's pretty hard to tell what's like good or not, or what's going to win. It's not like Hearthstone, where it's like, oh, I have a knife. It's like, you call that a knife, and you get like a knife 3 times the size, and it's like, well, I got a broadsword. And then like the guy has a crossbow, and then the other guy has a bazooka. No, in this game, you can literally like get a pawn shop and focus on selling items in order to buff the amount of health it gives you. And you can literally beat people by having too much health. You can literally win by being healthy. Okay, so like the win conditions are very, very interesting. So this is not just like a random. You can win the game off of this item, and I have. He's selling his stuff. He wants the pawn shop. He gets the pawn shop. And then when you buy an item, it sells for half the value that it buys for. So you're not always just like losing out if you're buying and selling, but you typically don't want to be buying and selling too much. So these options happen when you're dead. So the way the prestige system works, so there's like a prestige thing here. So you start with 20, and if it goes to 0, you don't die. You can only lose prestige if you lose your PvP encounter, and you lose prestige based on the day. So seeing as it's day 7, it looked like he had 7 or less prestige left, lost the fight, and died. This is the resurrection stage. You know what? I need to put that in my notes also. This is very useful. So the game is over when you have no prestige, die, get rezzed, and die a second time. And a perfect run is when you have full prestige. You're basically a super warrior or a super businessman or a super engineer, and you've never messed up. That's ending the game with full prestige. That's like the ultimate win. But like the second degree win is getting 10 wins and having some dings on your prestige, basically. So the game lasts, you see these things up here? The game lasts until you get 10 trophies, 10 victories in PvP encounters. It doesn't matter how many you lose as long as you're not dead. So you can win the game on day 10, or you can win the game on day 19. Doesn't matter. But it does matter what your strategy is, because if you're playing like an aggro type win condition, you're not going to win on day 19, I'll tell you that. You're not winning past day 15 with that. But yeah, so it's very dynamic in a win condition also. So when you die the first time, this is a res event. I don't know if it has a different term. It might have a different term. This is a res event. So you get to pick between a few options. Now these options have changed from one family and friends to the other. So, you know, it doesn't really matter what they are, but they're basically big bonuses the first time your prestige hits 0. You pick one, and then your prestige goes from 0 to 1. You can't lose any more. Yeah, it's your last chance, basically. Now, the friends and family did not have this enchant thing. So, I don't know enough to say more than that. Looks like he added crit chance to his hammer with the enchantment.
I should warn you, I'm not like other Pygmaliens.
So this is a PvP encounter. It's day 8. So you can kind of see. Let's see the full load. Okay. So what happened here? I don't know how he just. Oh, he didn't lose the health. That's his. No, actually, he did lose the health. I'm not sure what happened there. So on day 8, you can see that Pig, who has a lot of options to increase his HP, has way more HP than Vanessa, which is mostly an offensively based character. His strategy is use a very slow hammer that hits real hard. If it has 50% crit, most likely she'll die in 2 hits, but quite likely she'll die in 1. And Vanessa is playing a poison build. Generally, the pufferfish thingy is your main source of poison in this build. I don't think I want to go into super detail of the builds because they change the cards one family and friends to another, and then when they're gonna have like the closed access release, I'm sure some of these cards will be quite different also. But a poison build is a ramping damage build where poison is a damage over time that never goes away and goes through shield. So this item here, this is a shield generator. This is a heal. The shield item is completely useless. Oh, he has haste on the hammer. Double crit will one shot. Boom! Double crit. I saw the video before the stream. I knew it'd be a double crit. Usually combat is not that simple. This setup is possibly the simplest setup in the entire game. Stack health, but the act of stacking health and min-maxing it is actually super complicated. But the combat is simple. For Vanessa, these items have fairly complex interactions. But again, I'm not going to go over that. So he wins day 8, he gets another win. So this is Dooley. This is the robot character. On their website, and I should bring up their website because it has pretty nice stuff. Okay, so on their website they have this thing here. So they have Vanessa Complexity 1. More like a 3, I would say, but okay. They have Pig Complexity 3, that's pretty fair. They have Dooley Complexity 4. Dooley's like a Complexity 6, okay? It's like off the chart. Now, the difference is that you don't need to, like, master everything all at once. When a game starts, normally the other heroes, it gives you an offering of one of 3 items. And those items are from a pretty large item pool. So, like when you start a run, you can't really... Like, before a run starts, you can't be like, yeah, I'm just going to force this build. I mean, you can. You're going to get slaughtered. Okay, I actually tried forcing builds a few times. It like, basically never goes well. Okay. So you kind of have to roll with the punches, basically. Every time you play, you have to roll with it. Now, Dooley, his first item is the core. The core is a really fascinating item that it does depend on which core. I'll go on that in a second. Usually, if you put stuff to the left of the core, it charges it, which means it reduces the timer. It makes it like turbocharge. And usually the things on the right of the core are buffed in some way from the core. So you always have to balance how fast do you charge the core, how many things do you buff with the core. That's the super basic version of it, which honestly isn't even that basic. And then you can have items that kind of chain with each other. You can actually have infinity combos in this game, but there's an item activation, like internal cooldown. They've changed that a little bit, so it's never really infinite. You could have infinity damage, but if the trigger cooldown is like a quarter of a second, that's basically the speed at which it's going. So it's infinity, but it's pacing itself, right? So Dooley is the hero where you can basically set up infinity combos, and you can have builds that have multiple infinity combos that bounce off of each other to kind of even surpass the item activation cooldown. It's kind of like programming an engine, basically, when you're playing this hero. So Dooley is like a 6 on complexity. And what I just said is more like a 5 in my book. The reason it's a 6 is that there are, I think, 6 or 7 different cores, and each one of them is completely different. So when a game starts, you're offered a selection between 3. You won't really be a 10 out of 10 master at this hero until you master all of them. Well, all but 1. I guess technically you can always ignore 1. So you basically need to be a pro at 5 almost completely different build types before you can say that you're really good at Dooley. That's why Dooley's complexity is like insane. But I think overall Dooley's my favorite also. So I think you'll like it. I have not played these heroes, but their items are in the game, so you can get some of their items. And like I said, cross-class items are insanely powerful in the right scenario. Okay, so here, this is an example. So this is a companion core. So it's a medium item. It's the core. It is itself a friend, and you can never get rid of it. This is the only item you cannot get rid of. So it has a 7-second activation rate. And when it activates, you haste your friends for 1 second. Haste is double time on cooldown. When you use another friend, charge this 1 second. Now it says haste your friends. It hastes itself also. Haste is extremely powerful. I'm not going to get into this stuff in like right now, but haste is insane. Like all the status effect stuff is really, really powerful. Okay, let me just say it. So you know in Diablo 4 you have like a legendary aspect that gives you like 50% more damage. That's kind of how a build works in the Bazaar. Each item is contributing to the overall power level of your build with like a 50% multiplier. Now, if you haste everything, it goes from 50% to 100%. But the items multiply your overall power level in a way. So if you have double time on cooldowns, you're not 2 times stronger. You're like 10 times stronger. That's why it's really, really good. But it's only your friends, so you have to consider that. It's a weaponized core. I think the companion core is the only one without a position thing. All the other ones have a left and right effect. So you can see when you use any item to the left of this, charge this 1 second. So if you use 7 items, it just gets used instantaneously a second time. And then it says when you activate it, it deals damage, and then give weapons to the right of this plus 5 damage for the fight. So again, you'd kind of want the weapons that would be benefiting the most from a flat damage buff on the right, and then everything to charge this as often as possible on the left. That's not how I use this core, but that'll be like another time where I talk about that. But yes, there's other things that you can do with this. This core is, or was at least in the FNF, not very good. I hope they buff it. Shield is like temporary health. It doesn't go away, but you don't keep it after a fight. Shield is really good because it stops you from getting one-shotted, and some characters really struggle to get additional health. So remember when the hammer one-shotted Vanessa earlier in this video? Well, if Vanessa had enough shield, she would not get one-shotted, and based on how that comp was looking, probably would have won. So shield is powerful. The reason why I think, at least in the versions that I played in the past, this was a little bit weak, is because Dooley, like the character, he just has ridiculous shield items. So this, it's kind of like you're already strong in that type of thing. Now, with that said, I've still made some insanely strong builds with it. It's just, I think the other ones were better in the past. But again, we'll see. We'll see how it comes out on the 30th. That's not the right choice. So you can see the core charging. Okay, so I can already tell this is not the correct positioning for this build, but sure. So this core, when it gets used, it for the fight, it buffs the shield value of the item. So if you had one of these shield items over here, each time the core would be used, it would go up for the full duration of the remaining of the fight. So that, which you saw there, see, like, they both took massive damage. That's the sandstorm, because they're in the desert. It's the Bazaar. Woo. Okay, so the sandstorm is the fatigue mechanic. And remember what I said a few minutes ago, how you can play Pig and basically win by just having too much health? You can literally do that. You can play this character, play the absolute econ game, and buy up every single source of health, and basically before your opponent would have enough total damage to kill you, they would die to the sandstorm. This is a real thing. You will see builds like that. They're not going to beat everything, though. Some builds have exponential damage ramping in combat, and at some point, health is not going to save you. But you might get lucky in your matchups, so you can actually get flawless runs with pure health, and I have done that.
I believed in myself and I still lost.
So this is one of the more complicated individual items for Dooley. So it does damage and shields on a 4-second cooldown. And then it has the left-right effect, similar to how your normal core does. The reason why it's not really as complicated is because Dooley really favors smaller items. So while this item has a pretty large amount of things that it does, you'd be replacing 3 small items. And typically, if you're like min-maxing like crazy, in the later days, you can get more value out of 3 smaller items in your build. Is each build made during PvP or standalone deck? So it's like a roguelike. You do a run. Every day is 5 PvE based encounters. They might not be combat. You might go to a vendor. That's an encounter. And then at the end of the day, you do 1 PvP fight. Just to be clear, you can have a fun build that doesn't win at all. I'm serious. Like, you can have 0 wins and have fun in this game, which is mind-blowing. Because, like, the first few... So you start with 20 prestige. You lose your first one, that's -1. You lose again, okay, you're at 17. You lose again, 14. You lose again, you're at 10. You lose again, you're at 5. You lose again, well, you die, but there's this cheat death mechanic, so you get a buff. And probably, if you like, get the cheat death mechanic on day 6, you ain't losing day 7. Those like, revival bonuses are huge. They have changed, so I'm not going to go over what they are, because they might just be totally different. But they're really impactful. You can have, like, the most dumpster meme build, and you're basically playing that build through different, like, adventures and encounters for, like, 30 minutes. Like, you can have fun and make a unique build, and again, I want to repeat that, and win 0 times against other players and have fun. That's what's so cool about it. Yeah, there's no timers. It's asymmetric.
But I've seen my...
So, you see how Steve G is facing Varl 2? I don't know, what day was this? Okay, so this is the 9th day. Okay. So, it's asymmetric. So he's playing live, and he's playing what this player had on his day 9. And once he plays that, that is out of the pool. It's 1 for 1. Which is, again, it's amazing. Because in like backpack battles, it would basically snapshot like 10 builds, and if on that day those builds were like too good, it would just like suck to play on that day. Right? So that's just like super lame. I hated that about it. I like the asymmetric part, but I've never seen it done well, except for this game. And the reason why this is really good is because, like, I'm going to make a really sick build, and then someone out there is going to have the privilege of getting raffle stomped by it on, like, you know, day 8 or something. But then they had, like, that fleeting experience. It's like when I get my 7 flame strikes in arena, someone will face that, but it only happened once ever, right? So even when you get like completely wrecked, there's gonna be some of these moments that are still gonna be memorable.
I may be young.
So yeah, day 9 Veryl's this build. This is the one time it's being played against, and then it's out. Jesus Christ. Okay. I don't remember what happens here, but I think the chance that the Dooley player wins is 0. So this thing at the bottom here, this is a slow. So this charges at half time. So this item has both a haste and a slow, so it charges normal time. If you're wondering what that is. This is lifesteal damage, that's why it has a different color. Normally it's red. This is like purple. This is burn damage. This is poison damage. This is burn and poison damage. And times 5 is a multi-strike. So it casts 5 times when it triggers. The reason everything is happening in slow motion is because of this item. This item is called Tripwire, and it's whenever your opponent uses an item, slow it for a second. So that's why his stuff is always slowed. It's extremely powerful against Dooley. Oh my god, is he gonna double crit? No. Oh my, that is very unfortunate. He must have had some crit items. So he levels up. And you can upgrade your items. So upgrading items is pretty interesting. Let me actually see if I have that in my notes. I think I do. So when you upgrade an item, it can do a number of things. Typically the damage goes up. Whatever it does goes up. Like the numbers go up. Number go bigger. I don't think any level up puts a new ability on an item. But in some builds, it's a big difference. Like you can have an item that charges based on an effect, and then if you level it up, the amount that it charges is higher to a point where it starts looping infinitely. So you can have an item, in extreme cases of course, that you level up once, and it can do like 20 times damage. Again, it's extreme. Usually, I think if you level an item, it's about double baseline, but you can also buff your items. So most of the time in the later days, you're not operating at baseline. So here, it's day 14. Oh, this is hour, I guess this is 3, because that's like, yeah, so this is hour 3. And he has like the 3 options here. Jules Cafe. So these are temporary bonuses. So you can have temporary bonuses. Normally, I kind of ignore those, but you can see here, he has 9 wins. And remember, the game ends when he gets 10 wins. And what looks to be 1 prestige. That might be 2. If it's 2, it means he could lose and keep going. But if it's 1 and he's already had his like res event, it basically means his next opponent is his very last no matter what. So yeah, to get the temporary boost there is a great idea.
audience is treasure. I will share mine with you.
So these are skills. These are the things that you see here at the bottom beside the portrait. And there are so many. I can't really go into them at length right now. But each class has its own skills that are exclusive to the class. There are a few general skills, but also there are monster skills. So there's lots of different PvE fights, and when you go into a PvE fight, you can actually take their skill. Those are much rarer and can create much crazier combos. You can reroll the skills if you don't like them. It's me! Okay, so when you get your opponent, you can get some information about them. So here you can see that I also am at 9 wins here. So I have a pretty good build, probably. And I think this icon covers like the first pixel. There's no way I have 0 prestige because I would be dead. But I think in this build, it covers maybe like 1 pixel there. So I probably have 1 life. And this is when I needed 1 more win. On day 14. Oh, and you can also see this. This is the character level. When you level, you get a level up prompt, which can give you a huge variety of things. But it also gives you HP. So I'm level 13 here, and he's level 17. Now, the choices that you make during the day can give you significantly more or significantly less experience. So it doesn't necessarily mean that I sucked more. It could mean that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. But what it does mean is that this guy is almost certainly going to have less health than this guy, because he's 4 levels higher.
My fight isn't with you, but if you insist.
Okay, so what do we have here? So we have Tripwire. This is called a Langsian. It's a giga damage spear. And I got like a pirate ship, a water wheel, and stuff. Okay, let's just watch. Actually, I had about the same HP as he did, which is pretty interesting. That shouldn't happen, but I guess on this run I must have taken different options. I must have taken HP options. So you see this thing in the middle here, where it says 42.7 seconds? That's a freeze. When an item is frozen, it can't move its cooldown naturally. It can be charged to activate, though. So if there was like an effect, charge your weapon 2 seconds, it could still fire when frozen. So this is one of the big issues with having passive items and big items, is that they're vulnerable to freeze. Now, small items have their own issues, but it gets a little bit more complicated. I think I'll leave that for another video. 9 wins.
Daughter of House Corzina. No defeat can take that from me.
Not bad. I never saw that fight. That is like a ghost of me. I could not have seen that fight because he played that after I had already done that myself. So after that run that I played finished day 9, then it gets added to the pool, or day 14, then it gets added to the pool, and then on someone else's day 14, they might be able to random queue into my ghost. Yeah. Game looks complicated. So when you first play a game, it's gonna look like This is the new player experience. Start the game. Pick one of 3 items. Okay. This one looks good. I'll take that one. After you get that, it offers you one choice of 3 skills that are upgraded versions to kind of set you off on your build. And that's it. You have 1 item and 1 skill. And then based on your decisions, you can add more items. You can modify items. You can try to get econ to get better items later when they become available. It's like supernatural learning type of game. Like you just do a run and you get it.